And joining on, I think that's a little bit better.
That's
So
better.
join the morning,
Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email me at dr period vib at the drvibeshow.com. And then finally, to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the shows that I'm on, please email me at dr period vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Ryan, with your, yeah, just your camera up, because you got that there, that little bit, that's good. All right. And then finally, we cannot forget Indie Soup TV, powered by our good friend Dr. Tachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hit 20,000 YouTube subscribers now in about 7, 8 months, and we're blessed to have some of our content on that platform. So, and a few more things so I get Ryan climatized. Coming up on this Monday show, we have Nigel Gordick, and he'll be live with us talking about his article on buyblacks.com saying, how can I be a black man if I don't look like one? So yes, very interesting. And by Blacks always Black Canada's #1 online magazine. So thank them for allowing that alliance, that partnership with Neil. So we'll be on, and then of course this Tuesday it's watch party time. It's watch party time. It's coming down. So the election is this Tuesday. So we do have some people confirmed. We've got Aisha K. Staggers, Laura Lala Key, Dr. Tachi, all from Black Canadian or Black American or African American queens in the U.S. Cesar Nadima Musa from Canada has confirmed. So Black Canadian King. Ryan, will you be available?
Yes, it is going
Okay.
down. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, good. Well, we've got you. How you doing?
Things are, decompressing after the conference this week. And thank you again for your presentations, and the ideas. I saw a lot of great ideas coming out of the audience. So, yeah, it was great.
Me? Oh well, look. Well, thank you for having me. It was a quick in and out for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay for the whole thing. I missed Minister Valdez and her
Mhm.
attending, unfortunately, but can't. I'm not City Pulse. I can't, and I won't be everywhere. Um,
Yeah.
what about post comments, post thoughts after the conference?
Yeah, we definitely still need to send out, like, I would say, the formal feedback survey. But initial feedback was content was excellent. The people that were able to come and present, speak. There was a panel about like how to do business with the government that I thought was stellar, and talking about also what legislation is needed for Black entrepreneurs. That was really good. The other days talking about, oh man, which one stood out? Anik Silentiu, who talked about the difference between nonprofits and charities, and more nonprofit organizations should actually be leaning to become charities. There was a
Yes,
lot of great feedback about that
yes.
conversation. Um, yeah, I talked about budget restructuring. So that was kind of a deep dive into the numbers of when you get grants from the government and how you have to shift and how cash flow works. So there's some really good feedback from that. But then the last day, Tanya Williams talked about how she approaches getting sponsorship for the Real World Screen Institute Festival. And that has gotten a lot of great feedback because you kind of opened the floodgates on Monday. And then on Wednesday, Tanya Williams and also Craig Wellington talked about the process of getting funding and getting sponsorship, but also gave some stories about Carabana when he was with Carabana
Yep.
and how they should be using that brand. I thought the insight was like top tier. And Faith Thompson, who talked about taxes in probably the most engaging way that I've heard a CPA talk about numbers and how to structure your company to align with taxes and with the CRA. So a lot of great. These are things that I'm hearing from people that stuck with them and like topics that they were really engaged in. So yeah, succession planning with Earl Whittle, that stuck out, where people didn't really understand how to sell their businesses when they're talking about succession planning. So yeah, a lot of good things. But then, I mean, pros and cons, the feedback also was still not enough of the funded organizations being present. And for
Yes.
me, the fact that we actually called and confirmed with a lot of them, and they still, hey, things happen. We don't know what happened, because it would be great if they let us know. That way we wouldn't have to pay for that extra food. But that aside, yeah, just communication. And then that became a big topic, where how do we actually communicate amongst organizations in an effective way? And Tiffany Callender touched on it with her presentation on the Wednesday about how we actually collaborate and work forward on a unified communication system, just respect system. Yeah, it got deep. She so she first had her speaking notes, and then she like closes her laptop and is like, okay, now let's actually talk. So it was a great, real conversation about how organizations should be working together a lot more effectively, not just the will to do it, but actually the means and how we can work together. Was an interesting perspective.
Great. I see that. How much of the event was documented?
The whole thing. Only the breakout
Mine
rooms
wasn't.
might have not
Mine
caught.
was. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, main stage. Yeah, we had the static camera main
So
stage,
was
and
Tanya
then
main
so yeah,
stage?
breakout rooms.
Was Tanya main stage?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I'll definitely share that with you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, and I see how people with sponsorship for her organization, she is well down the road. And I think the combination of
Yes.
what I shared and what she shared is good. I think many of the audience is more in my environment right now than her environment.
Yeah, and I mean, to be real, she has star power behind
Yeah,
her. So
yeah,
that's where we have to understand how to build up our brand and then use that to actually make relationships.
yeah.
Because she even said, like, the star power gets you to a point, but then you still have to have the work
Oh, you
ethic
now
to
you still got to
reach
do
out
it.
to
Oh
the right
yeah,
people.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
make the right presentations, build custom decks, which you were talking about, not just having blanket sponsor tiers, but actually creating something custom for whoever you're talking to. So a lot of the same principles, and it was just great to see it from an organization that is further and more established. I mean, she's celebrating the 25th anniversary of another bigger splash. And one thing that she mentioned was,
Okay. All right. Ryan is having some connection issues, so I'm going to remove him from the stage for a little bit. All right, so I'll bring him back in just a second. So let's get to some comments. JJ Mars, what is up? The countdown is on. As always, a pleasure to have you on 2 hours behind where we are in Toronto. You're in Colorado at 7:11 a.m. What do you have to say? Tuesday, still have the same thought that 45 is going to win. It's so interesting back and forth what's going on in regards. A lot of pollsters now saying 45 is going to win. All people are saying it's a dead heat. Um, Frequency Event Promotions. Good day, Dr. Vibe and Ryan Knight. What is up? Happy November, everyone. Serena Wills from the DMV. Hope you are fine and safe. Frequency Event Promotions. Tanya's presentation was very bang on. Were you there? Did you actually go up there and crash the party? I know you would. And says, congrats, Ryan, to you and your team. Continue up the good work genuinely and sincerely. He also says, what I have seen, ACN do from since 2017 is a blueprint for NFP. ACN would love to build more synergy with you. Main reason you all get what needs to be done. Teddy Evans, good morning. Teddy Evans, you got an award. I was going quickly through Instagram. I don't know the exactly award you got, but congratulations. Good morning, Minnie on Cam. Teddy Evans says Movember begins. Yes. I think our friend Mr. Wayne Harris is going to be talking about. I'm going to bring Ryan back up to see if his internet connection is more stable.
Yeah, I think
we're better now. Good.
I got
Yes.
the tab closed.
Okay. Teddy Evans says, yes, sir. Thanks. Appreciate. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what, but I wanted to congratulate you. I think I also favored it. JG Mar says, game time is Tuesday, but I won't be surprised if it takes a few days to count all the votes. Oh, it's going to take a few days.
Right. Yes.
I don't know if you heard was it in Oregon that someone burned 2 ballot boxes?
Ooh.
So it's already,
Please.
it's already, we are,
this is just
it's all good. It's all good.
Well, so Trump is already accusing Pennsylvania of voter fraud and saying that people have been caught with like 2,600. I don't know, like he mumbles and jumbles, but yeah, he's already planting the seed of doubt to say like, oh, it's already happening.
Opal Inspired says, good morning, all. Good morning, Opal Inspired. Do follow her on YouTube. And Ted gives the exact awardee top 10 mortgage agent in her brokerage of over 140 people for September.
Yay.
Congratulations. Excellent stuff. Frequency Event Promotion says, we were in the house on day 3. So you did crash it. That's your style. That's your style. That's your style. But yeah, that is really, really good. I think I've said hi to everybody here. Thanks for everyone for showing up. One quick thing about the American U.S. presidential election. One of the things that's happening, and we know the country is divided, but it is dividing men and women.
Oh, boy.
And I was listening to a report this morning on NPR saying that a lot of men feel that not a lot, many men, or a number of men feel that the Democratic Party is anti-man.
And it would be interesting to get their perspective on why they think that.
Well, so there's a pollster out there named Frank Luntz, very long-term pollster who used to be a pollster for the Republicans. He distanced himself for the Trump. I said it, 45.
Gotcha.
45 years. And he did a little, focus group with about 15 men. And a number of the men said that, and here's the thing, they were more supportive of Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama because their husbands had political experience. They do not feel that Ms. Harris has enough political experience. They aligned with Clinton and Ms. Obama because their husbands have had experience.
But what does that say about them, that they feel the husband has to create the clout for the wife?
No, a number of them. I'm actually gonna put up the posts in the Morning Vibe Discord group and get people's feedback. But it was really interesting. They were saying, that they don't feel that she has enough experience, this and that, but they definitely feel, and Luntz and this other gentleman feel that the Democratic Party may have gone too far pushing, like, especially very much women. You got to get it to vote. And they make it, and some men are feeling, especially men who do not have college educations, they feel that they're not making as much money as women are anymore. And they feel that their role, and one of the guys said, he's a strong man. He's a strong guy. And one guy said, look what he achieved business-wise. And I go, do you know how he achieved it?
Right. And is that what you want to emulate? Because when they say something like she doesn't have enough of experience, if you put her track record laid out, are they actually reading the experience? And then they say, okay,
they only see the exterior, like he's a man of strength and power.
Right. And that's all in the perception, right? So
masculinity, and they were saying that, the Democratic Party is, toxic masculinity, this, that, and the whole thing. It was a very interesting conversation. I believe, though, the majority of the people he spoke with, Mr. Luntz, I don't know if any, but all of them were white men.
Gotcha.
And if you can see, 45 is campaigning. He's doing a lot of directing to young men. Young men. one last thing, two last things here. Opal inspired. I know she was going to say how they feel speaks to their own insecurity. And then if you can see, Brent Promotion says, I regret not being at the conference from day one, was filled with value. Anyone and everyone serious about business should have been at the event. I'm looking forward to the ACBN symposium. There we go.
Yes,
All right.
So mark your calendars. March 29th is when the ACBN Legacy Symposium will be. So we just solidified the dates, I'll say this week. So
wow. Okay.
Definitely let you know what type of capacity you'd like to be part of it, Dr. Vibe. But for those, save your calendar from March 29th, 2025.
Same location?
Yes. So we're working with Sheridan College to lock that in. So
nice. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And the first Friday of every month, we have Financial First Fridays, with Wayne Harris. And I know one thing he's going to talk about. There were two things he presented to me, and then he added another thing. So I think we're going to get a jambalaya Harris. So there's a whole myriad of things, and I think one of the things too will be very applicable to what we talked about in regards to Black entrepreneurship. He's got some stuff to lay down about that too. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds with some stuff with Wayne Harris, doing jambalaya style. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
Where is your getting out there and doing everything that needs to be done to get this man in office? Because I don't see it.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Only when it fits their benefit.
Exactly.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. What is up? You'll catch them tomorrow night, 7 p.m. live Eastern time, and also coming up this Tuesday. Yes, this Tuesday with the U.S. Presidential Watch Party live. All right. So make sure wherever you're watching this now, you can see it on Tuesday. All right. As I mentioned, first Friday of November 2024. Wow, 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 wow. Well, let's bring to the stage. If you don't know him, you're going to get to know him.
It's your boy. I'm back.
You're back from where?
Oh, Portugal, Greece, and Italy.
Oh,
nice. Has it been a minute since we've seen you clean?
Yeah, this is gone.
Yes.
This is day one of November. I'm wearing my November tie, the official tie of Cancer Canada back in the day. I remember receiving this back in 2006 when I was a spokesperson for them back in the day. And let me tell you, it was November 2006 when I went for surgery at one of the greatest hospitals in Canada, Sunnybrook Hospital. Shout out to Dr. Lawrence Klotz and his admin, Christine, for taking care of me 18 years ago, almost to the day. I want to say welcome. I want to say welcome, Black. I'm back. This is the first time I'm seeing you, Ryan, since your big victory on Dragon's Den. Yo,
oh, thank you.
Amazing. It was just surreal to watch and see somebody I actually know on that show. When you're the second person third person I've known to be on the show, and all the people who have been on the show have gotten a deal, and their lives have changed tremendously. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with you.
I appreciate that. And I can definitely echo, it's done a lot to shift how we do business with our operations and just seeing the next evolution of where we need to get to. So, yeah.
Someone's got some notifications flying there. Must be, of course, it's Ryan Knight.
The Gala King's about to go into gala season.
Yay!
In December, we should be seeing a lot of rubber chicken dinners for a lot of people. While I've been away, so all of October is gone. Last time you saw me was September 1st, or that week of September. So it's been a little bit, a lot has happened. Trust me when I tell you. Let's start with the big one. The Bank of Canada and interest rates for mortgages. And the 0.50 drop in the mortgage rates, the variable mortgage rates, crazy stuff going on. And
was this like, did people see this coming, or was it kind of like in the middle of the night they made a decision?
well, listen, there's a couple of things happening, right? And the Bank of Canada needs to calm down inflation. And they believe that by dropping the rates, they're going to help with that. They also know that there's a tsunami of people renewing their mortgages this year and next year. And if the rates are too high, all those homes are going to go towards foreclosure. Everybody's going to have to walk away.
Right,
That's 60% of all outstanding mortgages. That's
wow.
That's economic Armageddon.
Yeah.
So there are people like Ted on here and the Godfather, Ray McMillan, who can speak to that. And whenever they get on this platform, they can speak to that in more detail. But let me tell you, the government of Canada had to do something to have a softer landing for these people on renewal. Because if they got a 2% or 3% hike in their mortgage payments and they're already at the peak, they're done. Right? And here's the good news and the bad news. A lot of people have insured mortgages, high ratio mortgages. So they put less than 20% down on their homes. Well, those mortgages are guaranteed by third parties like CMHC, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. In the United States, you guys have Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and those different programs that used to be around. I'm not familiar with that. Ray can speak to that. But CMHC is on the hook to insure those mortgages, not the banks. So the banks are happy either way, because the government of Canada is on the hook for those defaults, not the banks.
So does that mean like it would get paid out and then the bank gets to also sell it?
Correct.
Wow. That's what these people are laughing.
So CMHC is on the hook for the full ticket. And the bank says, thanks, we're going to just put this thing on the market and get back our money.
Man.
Does the government of Canada own the house if they pay off the mortgage, or does the bank? That's not my lane. I'm sure no one ever thought that was even remotely possible, that this many homes would be in the red zone at the same time,
right?
With the economy as it is. So seeing that bank rate drop, let me tell you, there's something called yin yang, right? And yin yang is a circle with two symbols, right? Within one, and one is white and one is black. And you can pick which one you want to be the positive and the negative. I'm not going to subscribe anything to it, but I'm going to tell you that one side means crisis and the other side means opportunity. And it's happening at the same time. That's yin yang, the true meaning. This is a yin yang moment for those who are cash rich. Because for those who are cash rich, there will be a lot of opportunity in the next 12 to 18 months, depending on what's going on with the interest rates. If they don't bring them down far enough, fast enough, people are going to get hurt. And those people who get hurt are going to look for a way out. And when they look for a way out, they're going to drop their price to protect their equity before they go to foreclosure. And people who are buyers will win.
All right. I want to jump in for a quick second and add some more sugar and spice to this conversation. The thing is, interest rates go down. More people are going to get in the housing market. What is going to happen to the price of houses?
This is the problem. This is the problem,
right?
We have to try and balance the ebb and flow.
And then I want to add something else to the conversation. If 45 comes back into power,
right,
one of his things is tariffs in the U.S. That's going to drive up the price in the U.S., which is going to probably drive up the price and prices in Canada, which is inflation.
Listen, my son has a master's in economics. He can speak to that. I can tell you this: tariffs are never a good thing for the receiving country, and never good for the countries exporting to that country. But the consumer is the one who pays for those tariffs. Because if you charge us 10% more, we're just going to price it 10% more.
Exactly.
Okay. So yes, the United States is getting the tariff, but the people are the ones being squeezed.
So I find it interesting, and I stay neutral as possible, how these people say 45, he's going to really do good for our economy. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, 45, Republicans in general are, they're anti-large government. So that's one. So if you reduce the size of the government, you should be reducing the size of the spending on government spending, right? There's a lot of things the United States does above and beyond their domestic agenda, and they have a very strong foreign policy that they've had in place for hundreds of years now. And they want to maintain those advantages they have around the world. And they will soften up certain governments to get what they want and harden other governments to keep what they want. And you can see that going on right now in the Middle East as they harden some governments to keep what they want in the Middle East and soften other governments in other parts of the world to get access to the natural resources. It really depends. It's a push and pull policy. Too long to a discussion for this show, and really requires strong political and economic analysis beyond the scope of this call. But let me tell you, all you can do is all you can do. Okay? And all you can do is enough. It's a book by a guy by the name of Art Williams from back in the day. All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. So all you can do is budget. All frivolous spending needs to go. All discretionary spending needs to be inspected. I'm not saying stop getting your Tim Hortons and your Starbucks and your lattes and your pedicures, manicures. Hair did, nails did, everything did. I'm not saying stop that. I'm saying inspect it, because we were supposed to be in nuclear winter, and we were last year Christmas. Now the interest rates are dropping. So what happens now? Variable rate is going to drop, right? But the long-term rates are not based on the interest rates. The bond market runs the long-term rates. So the 5-year rates, 3-year rates, 4-year rates, those rates may go up. And again, Ray and Ted, if you're out there, pipe in. But from what I've been told by Ted, bond rate runs the long-term rates, and the long-term rates will go up because the bond rate goes inverse with the interest rates. So long-term mortgages get hurt, short-term mortgages win. I've always had a short-term mortgage. I think I locked in a couple of times back in the day. But I can tell you, when it gets to my sweet spot number, brother's locking in for 5 years. As soon as it gets to that number, I'm locking in for 5 years so I can know what my expenses are going forward. I can't tell you the number of people that I know in the last 12 months, in the last 11 months, who have lost their homes and had to sell because the cost of carrying the mortgage was beyond what the renters were bringing in, and the renters were intermittent at best at paying their rent. And there is no recourse in our province for that. Yeah, landlord-tenant board is there, but it's a year to get a hearing. All the while they're not paying any rent.
Yeah, the timeline for recourse doesn't match cash flow.
Correct. So, asking me how I know tenants don't pay rent.
Yes, you shared.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I'm gonna come up with a few comments and we'll get into it. So Frequency of Promotion says I'll be there. So I think he's talking about the ACBN event for next year. And then I got Mignon Cancers. November is Financial Literacy Month, and November is Indigenous Disability Awareness Month. Also, foreclosure. She says foreclosure stays on your credit report for a long time, longer than bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
Teddy Evans says foreclosure stays on your credit report. Okay, hold on. I just had producer just come back here. No. Ted says Teddy, as I just helped a client get their variable rate mortgage down from a 99-year amortization. Wow. Okay, Mignon Camp says a foreclosure has a huge impact on your credit score and will stay on your credit report for approximately 7 to 10 years. Wow. Mignon Camp says my mother went through a foreclosure. It took 7 to 10 years to find how it happened to her. And then Shirley Josma, good morning. Shirley says, good morning, everyone. We got down here, Ted got here. Ted has said here, yes, sir. The bonds have been staggering up and squeezing banks' profit margin on fixed rates. So fix are staying steady till it can't anymore.
Okay.
Godfather's in the house, as Wayne would say. Good morning. Macmillan Group says, good morning, gentlemen. Manage or eliminate debt. Leverage equity. For those with 800 plus credit scores, know how to use it. Build your team of advisors. That's why we call him the Godfather. He just says something, bam. I'm gonna go to Ted here. Says 99-year amortization was caused by having a variable rate with stagnant payment, regardless of bank prime rate going up or down. Okay. Ray also says many investors are buying A properties to rent to B or C clients. Whoa. Like, God.
Yes. Now it's a party. Now it's a show. Now it's a show. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Now it's a show.
What?
No, put it back up. I haven't finished the comment yet. The potential real estate investor needs proper coaching from those who understand the process. Okay, the Fitness IQ camp. Like, I don't know. This is going to be a long show today, Wayne. You haven't been on for a while, but you know that the posse is here. Fitness IQ says, morning, y'all. And then Opal inspires a question. How easy is it to go back to a variable after locking in?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. So again, I'll defer to the mortgage brokers, but I do know that if you talk to your mortgage broker, depending on the type of mortgage you have, there are stipulations and penalties for you to make those moves. So the bank wants to keep you where you say you want to be. And if you want to move to something else, they don't make it difficult, but they want to make it painful enough that everybody's not doing it on a daily basis. So they will provide certain provisions in the mortgage contracts in order for you to make certain moves, make more payments, different payments, extend it, blend it, do all the different things you can do. This is why rate is not king. Rate may be king, but provisions are queen. And you really need to look at not just a mortgage rate, because if you have a mortgage rate and your hands are tied, can't do anything with it. Is the rate really the thing? Nothing can change in the next 5 years, or you get one with a very good rate and a number of provisions to give you the flexibility to make moves when conditions change, like a pandemic. Okay? So people seem to have forgotten we're not that far away from it. It's only been 2 years.
That's true. Finance IQ says happy Financial Literacy Month. Macmillan Group says that sounds like a TD mortgage, Ted. And then Ted also says you can always lock into a fixed rate with the current lender. And then Ray said, Ted says Ray, it was a CIBC mortgage. You know what? We got to work on it. We got to get all three of you on.
Ooh, yes.
Let's do it.
But you already have. Well, you already do black belt. Okay, you already do black belt conversations, which we're due for another one, by the way.
We are. We should do it next month.
Should we also invite Ted into the?
Bring him into the fold. Into the fold.
All right. So since the audience is corrupt, just bomb this conversation. What do you want to chat about next? Because okay. Look who also is here. Energy Shack Juice Bar says, I think we should stop spending money on coffee.
Well, let me tell you a little story, because we're talking about living benefits, and living benefits are those benefits that you can get access to while you're alive. So a living benefit can be dental care, vision care, massage, chiropractic, osteopath, homeopathy, getting a CPAP machine, all the different things. Sometimes they'll cover prescriptions. So you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, they'll cover all the prescriptions. These are living health benefits. Usually when you're working full-time, you're a T4 or W-2 employee, you get these things part and parcel. Very critical in the United States to have living benefits, because medical bankruptcy is 37% of all bankruptcies in the United States. Because people get sick and they cannot afford to stay alive. And if they do stay alive, they're in debt for the rest of their life and have to go bankrupt to pay the bills, which kind of flies in the face of the Hippocratic Oath of taking care of people. But I digress. I don't live in the United States. I have family members who do. And they tell me that insurance is your lifeline to having a chance of getting to your old age, because without it, God bless you.
Just as heavy.
So health benefits are probably what most people are familiar with, and people get them through work. You say, oh, do we have benefits? Oh, your benefits kick in day one. Your benefits kick in 3 months. And, you have a certain amount of benefits, and then you run out of benefits. You have to wait for another year to get access to whatever it is, orthotics and all the different things. And that's great. But what if you're a gig economy person? What if you're self-employed? What if you are working for a company full time, but they don't offer benefits? Like most restaurants and hospitality don't offer. You're a waiter, you're a bartender, you work in these places, you don't get benefits. You work in certain factories and whatnot at the lower scale of the income bracket, you don't get benefits. So what can this person do? Well, these people can get their own personal individualized benefits. What a surprise. You don't have to have a company pay for it if you're making enough money as an individual. So Ryan Knight and Detail and Knights has a company. He has some key core employees. Now Ryan's going to say, listen, my wife is working in a company that has benefits, and those benefits extend to me and my children. Ryan is good. But if he has an employee who doesn't have a spouse, they don't have any benefits.
Gotcha.
So if your income is going to stop, if you get sick or injured, living benefits are for you. I'll say it again. If your income is going to stop, if you get sick or injured, living benefits are for you. Now, there are a number of stipulations about pre-existing conditions. Some companies will cover, some companies won't. They will maybe increase the price. It's called rating you. So they'll rate you higher and more risky with certain pre-existing conditions. But you have usually, when you work for a company, you have benefits, and those benefits end because your time with the company has ended. You have 60 to 90 days to buy those benefits yourself personally from the company you were insured with. But you can also buy those benefits personally from any company that offers benefits. So your company might be in the pole position because you were already with, X Life. And then they say you have 60 days to continue doing the individual plan on X Life, which will be more expensive because you're not a part of 100,000 or 50,000 or 10,000 employees. You're an individual. So it'll be more expensive,
Right.
but not so much so that is so daunting you can't do it. Because they want to maintain you as a client. They know your history. They know what you've done. They know you go to the dentist every 6 months. They know you buy glasses every 2 years. They know you go for physio once every 2 months. They know your rhythm, and they know they can make money with you. So they'll offer you that plan. And you can get that plan as an individual or a family plan, which can include things like travel insurance. I don't want to talk to you about the negative exposure to people going to Buffalo, New York from Toronto and slipping and falling and going to an American hospital and what they have to pay if they didn't have the travel insurance for the day. People go to Bills games all the time. They go to Buffalo Sabres games all the time. They go down there and they expect to come back with nothing happening. And 9 out of 10 times, that is correct. But when it's not correct, bankruptcy is there. OHIP extends across the border a little bit. It extends cross province a little bit, but it's not going to have your back if something severe happens. So when you're going to the Jamaicas and the Barbados and the Trinidad, and you're going for Carnival, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're going to Europe, to Portugal, Greece, and Italy, you need to have travel insurance, trip interruption insurance. We had connections and these kind of things. You need to have trip interruption insurance. My companies have paid 100% to all my clients when they have given me the correct information. I've given them the correct solution, and then they have applied for the claim. The claims have been paid 100% of the time so far, and I've been doing this a little while. Right? We don't lie on the application, so we know that they're going to pay out on the back end. Go ahead, Ryan.
Curious around, so with, let's say, a car cleaning company, you know your staff is going to be, like, their body's going to get worn down, but they might not be hospitalized for injuries that they might get. What would you recommend for those types of industries where we're working hard, but then, because some of the ones when I see the coverages, it's like, oh, if you get hospitalized or, accidents happen, but what if it's just your body needs a break and you're not going to go to the hospital? Is there stuff that helps with that?
I think that's a good question because they're looking for certain triggers or disability. Now, if it's not a disability coverage won't help you. But you have the ability to give them chiropractic, massage, physio, and these sort of things
type stuff
to kind of help them maintain what they're doing, because it's physical labor that they're doing. 9 out of 10 times is a sunny day. So 9 out of 10 times your employees are outside getting their vitamin D as they're doing these cars, but sometimes they're doing it in underground garages.
True.
Right? So disability has to be partial or full, and there's a criteria for what that is. You're not going to get any funds for them being tired. No, you're not going to. If they're injured or ill, we got you. If you need remediation benefits, physio, chiro, osteo, massage, orthotics, mental health counseling, all those things we can give you as part of the benefits, but we really can't give you, if you're tired, you're going to have to figure that out. Maybe take a day off.
Right. But I like you said, were those like reboot type services, like the massages and the chiropractic. So go and get checked so that you keep your body as best.
Access to a nutritionist.
Right.
Some nutritionists who are licensed will be part of your benefits. Some who are not licensed, you have to make the call as to whether you want the service or not, even though you're not going to get the money back. Shout out to the Energy Shack, who Carolyn Nichols came on this show, talked about what she's doing from a nutrition point of view. Both you and Vibe have been a part of that. And guess what? I came back from Greece and I reached out to Carolyn and she sent the juices. And I did a 5-day. Let me tell you.
What?
I was ready to eat the couch, the wallpaper, the stove. I was ready to eat the fridge. I was anything. Listen, my son put something in the microwave, and I came to the kid and said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm heating up my food for dinner." I go, "You can't do that." Buddy, you have
to warn me first.
You ever see a Looney Tunes, that little animal?
Yeah.
Everything starts turning to food.
Listen, I was going by listen, I got to say the support and the knowledge is next level. Carolyn calls me day one. She goes, "Okay, Wayne, it's day one." I'm like, "All right, I got this. No problem. I take my juice." Buddy, I am down 9 pounds as of today. My blood pressure is stable without my medication. Right? I take it, right? Because my doctor says to take it, so I'm taking it. But my blood pressure is down. I got to make sure it doesn't go so low because I get faint, right?
Yes.
I'm taking my medication as prescribed, but I'm watching it and seeing the numbers just solid. So now she says, this is the first day I can now go back to eating fruit in the morning. But the fruit, Angie laid out the fruit this morning. We got the blackberries, the blueberries, the raspberries, the strawberries. And buddy, I'm like, as soon as I'm done with Dr. Vibe and Ryan, I'm going in the kitchen and chewing for the first time in 5 days.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Just ended. Holy crow. That's
buddy.
No.
She gave me these 2 teas. One for blood and the other one for liver. But this thing for liver, she said, put a pinch in. I don't know what a pinch is. Buddy puts in almost like a teaspoon. Buddy, this thing tied up my mouth. Like, I'm like, what is this? Carolyn, I gotta say, shout out to you. I took a pinch, just a little bit on my finger, and I put it in the tea, let it steep, and I drank it. And it was still terrible, but it wasn't so terrible that I couldn't handle it. So now I know what a pinch is, and I can maintain it. But let me tell you, I've been talking about, you look at your life as a circle. Like a wheel of a bicycle. In the middle is the hub, right? And that's 0. And if you go to the end of the wheel on the edge, that's 10 on 10. I want you to take your life and from the hub, put a line out and do it for spirituality. Where are you on a scale from 1 to 10 on spirituality? And measure yourself, right? Maybe you're a 7, maybe you're 8, maybe you go to church, maybe you read scriptures every day, whatever. Those people are a little bit more advanced, go to church and whatnot, or involved in the church. 8, 9, 10. Those people who, watch Moses at Easter every year. You might be a 1, 2, right? And then do the same thing for finances. Do the same thing for your social network. Do the same thing for recreation. Do the same thing for the gym. Do the same thing for your handling your debt. Do the same thing for your family relationship. Do the same thing for your spousal relationships, and then do the same thing for health. And on health, I was way down the bottom. I was sedentary. I stand up at my desk and I do my work, but I wasn't walking the 15,000 kilometers. I walked 15,000 kilometers, 15,000 steps. I walk 15,000 steps almost every day in Europe.
Right.
Therefore, I left Toronto at 224 pounds and came back at 224 pounds because of all the walking. Because I was eating like tomorrow wasn't promised, right? Because the food was so good. Listen, until you have pasta in Rome, until you have gyros in Greece, until you have steak in Portugal, you don't know what food is, eh? You think you know what
So
food is.
now all the stuff you bigged up Carolyn about, she's going, oh,
I know. Because I knew I was coming back to this.
Yes.
Yes.
It was really last licks for me. But when I saw the transformation over the last 5 days, obviously I can't live on juice forever.
No.
But now this has to become a part of my lifestyle. Longevity is dependent on your body's ability to recover and restore itself. And you can't do that eating the trash. So if I am going to eat meat of certain types, I'm going to eat better cuts of meat. You won't see me eating hamburgers at the cookout. I'm going to get grass-fed steak. I'm going to get grass-fed free-range chickens. I'm going to get the best of everything, because I'm going to eat less of it, because the greens and the vegetables and the fruit is going to take care of the majority of what I'm doing. And at 200 plus pounds, 6'2.5", to not pass out with no food after 3 juices a day, I honestly to God, I said, what's Carolyn, 5'2", 110 pounds? What does she know about being a big dog?
Yeah.
How can a big dog like me bark with just juice?
Yes.
And listen, I was so surprised that I was not like starved out in the fetal position in the middle of my bedroom every day, because my body adjusted accordingly. So
your body has reserves. It's just
so
reserves go to work.
My buddy, I got clothes in my closet I haven't been able to wear for a while, eh? And I put on the pants the other day. They're 36 waist, and I put them on. They fit. I'm like, what?
Yes.
So I can't say enough about, if you're looking at self-care, if your people are out there running and they're getting tired, maybe they need to look at getting involved with Energy Shack to see what they can do to replenish the amount of they're sweating and they're doing all those things, and electrolytes and all that. I can't speak to it. Have them talk to Carolyn and design something that would be basically detailing Knight's nutritional guidelines, so they can have the most effective and the longest term and successful franchise going forward. So you can kind of just offer it to your franchises to say, hey, here's a little something. Here's someone that we have in our network to help you get the most of your business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do 2 quick things. A whole pile of comments, going to get through them. And I know Ryan has to leave at the top of the hour. So I want to parking lot the living benefits for a bit, and then get to the destruction of the Canadian black business middle class. So let me do the comments really quick. So way back, Teddy Evans said, the concern is now locking into a fixed rate with your current amortization may give payment you can't afford. Then if you switch lenders, you also have a penalty to consider. He also says living benefits in order of Movember prostate cancer awareness. Yes, Minion Cam. I just found out I have sleep apnea, and the CPAP machine is $775 covered by Ontario government in the ADP program and in ODSP health benefit. But the thing takes 6 to 8 weeks to process. Yuck. Next up. She also says ODSP health benefit is basic and partial coverage, and you don't know what's not covered until you need it. All right, more stuff. She says, I can tell you navigating the government programs for health benefits and ODSP health benefit is a nightmare of a maze. Colin Williams says, what about Trillium health benefits? We'll get that in a second. Minion Camp says, Colin Williams, that's part of the benefits I talk about on the last Fridays of each month. She also says, it took me a year to find private health benefit that would cover my pre-existing conditions to balance out government coverage and private coverage. She says, I'm still filing the paperwork for the compression socks coverage from Ontario ADP program and finding a vendor that works with ODSP. The red tape, I'm still strangled in it. Okay, and of course, Energy Shack Juice Bar is here. She has celebration emojis, and she goes, Wayne's the champion. And then you can see event promotion goes, big up Carolyn Nichols. Also says, Sir Harris, good seeing you. Minnie gives you a pinch of 1/16 of a teaspoon. What's that? How do you know? Wayne and I got big hands. 16 of this?
Exactly.
What's this? Good morning, Dr. Tachi from Indie Soup Media. Great to have you here. Carolyn goes, your liver is so happy.
Mm.
Yeah, frequency of Emperor says hashtag purge. Frequency of Emperor says, I like what you're saying here, Sir Harris. Right after the show, I'm going for a walk. Then also says Colin Williams. Minion Cam says, Trillium benefit is based on your income and how much of your income is spent on prescriptions. She also says the Trillium benefit is only for pharmaceutical prescriptions that fit into the ODP formula coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carolyn says, Energy Shuja, hallelujah for Wayne. And then Colin Williams, Minion says, she says, some prescriptions you would have to request coverage from the EAP, Exceptional Access Program, if Trillium benefit does not cover it. And wow, this is crazy. Shirley says, that's a great idea to explore, Ryan. And then Macmillan Group, aka Godfather, says, diet, exercise, and lifestyle is the most important part of our journey. As an entrepreneur, it is important to understand that you chase. It is important to understand that as you chase wealth and money. All right, we're caught up.
Right. Health is wealth, really.
Yeah, exactly. And if people don't know what that means, if you don't take care of your health, it's going to take your wealth.
Right. When I was climbing the Acropolis in Greece and we're going up that hill, I saw people 15, 20 years older than me with the walking sticks, with the wheelchairs, leg braces. I'm like, bro, I can't be doing this in my 60s and 70s. I've got to be in better shape than I am now, 15, 20 years from now, in order to be able to do this travel, because it's time and money. Lifestyle is time and money. A lot of people have the money, right? They don't have the time to go do it. We had guys that were traveling with us, first time in their life, they're leaving North America, was this trip that we took with them. And they were crying on the beaches of Greece because they gave up so much chasing house, car, lifestyle,
right,
falling out here without seeing what was available in the rest of the world. So 2026, that's a big milestone birthday for me. And I'm going to the continent and I'm going to go see what the ancestors are all about firsthand in 2026. So shout out to anybody who has been to the west coast of Africa and wants to come or know somebody there that can hook me up. I heard there's Black-owned hotels and a bunch of different tour companies that are Black-owned. I'm all about it. And I'm going to the continent to go see for myself.
Yeah, I know Chadwick does an annual trip. I'm not sure if you've connected with Chadwick.
Okay, I will. I'll ask you for the information.
Yeah.
All right. So
that was to Ghana. I'm not sure if it was Ghana you're thinking.
Yeah, Ghana's where I want to go first.
Okay, yeah.
And I've got people in Nigeria who say, listen, Christmas in Nigeria is bananas good.
Gotcha.
So it's very expensive, but everybody's back home. So it will be a vibe. So I'm looking to see if I can do both countries, but I kind of feel that I need to go to Ghana as my first stop.
And my apologies. I'll hop here as we're switching topics.
No problem.
Always good seeing you, Wayne.
We'll chat, Ryan. All right, good stuff. So in preparation, usually Wayne and I'll email them a few days. What do you want to talk about this month? They'll tell me. So he gave me two topics, his journey with prostate cancer and living benefits. Got it. And then was it yesterday or 2 days ago? He sends me this other thing. I go, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Wayne, and I think he pulled from a survey or a study.
There's a gentleman who's also been on this show.
Pierre.
I met through Dr. Vibe's show, Dr. Justine Pierre.
Yes.
And he has a company that does Black-centric statistics and research. And he had these slides on LinkedIn, and I'm like, bro, we got to discuss these slides. So if you want to pop it up there,
so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pop it up and take us off screen so you can talk about them. So
sure.
let me just do this. Okay, let's take this off. Okay, so let's talk about the first slide I'm gonna put up. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. Racialized people are paid less in Canada.
Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Dr. Vibe. Take us through it.
Okay. So, according to this research, out of $1, Latin Americans, which is interesting, Latin Americans in Canada, that's a whole other conversation, are paid 77 cents per $1. Filipinos, 81%, 81 cents, sorry, cents, 77 cents, 81 cents per. West Asian, 74 cents. Other racialites, 85 cents. Black, 75 cents. So according to this survey, we are paid the second lowest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want people out there to comment if those numbers, if you put it back up,
Okay.
if those numbers represent their reality, right? We all have friends in all these categories. At least I do. So I know that there are some people who make more and some people who make less. Sometimes it's the industry that you choose. If you choose to be a factory worker, you're going to make less than a doctor. I get it. But if you are in unionized or more formalized HR environments, the chances of you getting lowballed are low, because you are in an environment where there's governance around. Work for some big companies, the Deloittes, the Microsofts, the IBMs, and the Dell. The chances of being lowballed are very, very rare, because you kind of know your value when you're at that level. I remember negotiating with IBM for my salary, and the guy came in with a number that I hadn't made since I was in my 30s.
Ouch.
And I said, I can't do it. Now, if someone is not in a position to say no, they're going to accept that offer and be paid less. But I wasn't going to be paid less, because I knew what my value was, and I had enough on my resume and in the interview to defend my salary. So some of the things that are not said in this graphic that looks very innocent is, how long were the people here? What industry are they in? Are they male or are they female? Right? All these things matter. Also, I think that, if you're born in Canada or not born in Canada, having some exposure to what is possible makes sense, because my parents were not born in Canada. And I'm sure that when they offered my father his job in the 1960s, he just said thank you.
Yeah.
Right? He just said thank you. I can't remember ever, other than my first job at McDonald's, which I was paid $3.54 an hour because I was under 18, and that was minimum wage for under 18. I just said thank you. I just wanted to work there, and I didn't negotiate. So there's some things you can do to negotiate these things, but really where the real research is where Dr. Pierre has to give us what industry, what year, what age are the people. There's a lot of drilling down that we have to do. And this is the critical thinking that, isn't being done with the election cycle in the United States and isn't being done in Canada, because you look at this on face value, you're like, we're getting punked. But maybe there's a reason. And there could be some racism in here, and there could be some educational discounts. Paperwork in the Caribbean and Africa is not worth what paperwork is worth in Europe and North America. I've seen that too, the immigrant tax, so to speak. You have a master's degree from Nigeria, you come to Canada, and they look at that master's degree and say, you better get your butt to Humber and get some Canadian paper, even though it's less than the content you got where you were, because we don't vouch for that paperwork. Right? Just like all the kids who came to Canada in the 70s when Trudeau opened up the doors to do repatriation with the family, the mothers came and then the kids came. All those kids did not stay in the grade they were in when they came from the Caribbean. They all got put back a grade. You remember that?
Yep.
So all our friends who came from the West Indies in the 70s were all a year older than us, because they were put back a grade when they came to Canada, almost by default. I don't remember that being the case if they came from England, Ireland, or France. I just know when they came from Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and Guyana, I remember them being put back a year. But you can talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, and we got some comments here even on the stats that we just put up. So Mignon Cam says racialized people are paid less, and people with disabilities are paid even less than that. Mm-hmm. Dr. Tachi goes, sheesh. She says Mignon Cam says persons with disabilities earn 21.4% less than persons without disabilities. She also says this chart is not including gender gap. Wayne mentioned that. She also says Buy Black has a post of a lady who kept a photocopy of her first Canadian paycheck of 14 cents.
Roger Dundas' mother.
Yep.
Working at the Eaton Center restaurant, I believe.
Was it Rogers or Camille's? I think
it was Rogers.
Okay, Rogers. And then Mignon Camp says racism, sexism, and ableism is all in play here.
Yes.
And she says, yes, my dad got put back a grade, and it almost happened to me and my sister when family would send us to Jamaica for 4 months.
Yeah. We had to deal with English and French. The folks who came up from the Caribbean did not have any French, so they pushed them back a year so they could get the French at whatever grade they were at. I believe it was grade 5, grade 6 when the onslaught came in from the Caribbean. So let's look at the second one.
Yep, I'm gonna pause. You're reading my alleged mind. I'm gonna put that other one up right now. Window. Here we go. Okay, so do this. Take down the banner here. So who invests and who doesn't?
Mm-hmm. How many of us have investment income? 30.9%, not a visible minority. Black, 13%. So let's talk about that one here for a bit. So investing requires knowledge and requires an understanding of your level of risk and your timeline. How much risk do you want to accept? And how much time do you have to recover to get that money where you want it to be? Based on my client list, a lot of people don't want to invest because they don't understand the market. They don't understand the mechanisms of the market. They don't understand the basics. Budgeting and saving, emergency fund, checking account, savings account, TFSA, RSP, FSHA. United States, Roth IRA, 401k, savings and checking. People don't understand the basics. Insurance, people don't understand. So we come on this call once a month to give people the foundational tools so they can make better decisions for themselves and for their family. Because the money is going to work. It's either going to work for you or it's going to work for the bank, right? The bank gives you a credit card at 19.9% and gives you a savings account at 0.5% and keep the difference, 19.45%. So if you don't understand, you're not going to do it. Same with me. I don't understand curling. So I'm not running out my yard to go and curl. I don't understand curling, right? But if curling were my means for me to survive, I would learn curling. So why aren't people investing? Is because people don't know. And for whatever reason, there's a learned helplessness with all this information, all the Google, all the YouTube, all the Chat GPT, all of these things out there. And people still aren't doing anything to say they don't know. How is it possible you don't know? You don't want to know. There's a passiveness there. There's a learned helplessness there. And, for you to only know what your parents know about money, and you've been in Canada as an adult for more than 5 years, is almost, it's a tragedy.
It's a death trap.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to do is remove the shame of people saying, I don't know. You don't know, don't worry about it. There's no shame in my game. I will come and I will sit down with you and I will walk you through it with no judgment to see where you're at, see where you want to go, and show you how to get there. That's all I'm doing. And I'm doing it for all cultures, all ages. My eldest client is 80 years old. My youngest client is 19. It's amazing. I have something for everybody in every life stage.
I want to touch on another area here that a lot of people on this call may not realize. It's starting and it's going to come full-fledged. There is a retirement crisis around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
There is a retirement crisis around the corner. And a lot of times we always hear the term baby boomers. It's not just non-melanated people who are baby boomers, family.
Correct.
Right? And it's a big crisis because I see a lot of people who are elderly who had allegedly pensions and they ain't living on their pension. They're scraping by. And the generations after that, look, if you're 20 years old and you're watching this live on the replay, start thinking about retirement money now, small increments now. I wish I would have done that. I'm
Oh,
being
brother,
honest here.
brother, let me tell you. I go out to homes. I drive in my car because the people over the age of 60 don't want to meet with me on Zoom. They want to meet with me face to face,
Which is always better, by the way, if it
which
can
is
be
always
done.
better, kneecap to kneecap at the kitchen table. And I ask them to go and get their paperwork and bring it back. When I see the house of horrors that is in the paperwork from people who have come before me, who have done these people dirty. I've seen a lady make $11 in 10 years from one of the banks because she wanted her money safe. And the bank said, sure, we could put it right in here where it's safe. And inflation is 2-3% a year. Went up to as high as 8% a couple of years ago. But if inflation is 2-3% and her money's in the bank at 0.5%, she's losing every year just on inflation. The ability of that dollar to do what it could do the year before is diminished by the rate of inflation. You have to meet inflation and you have to beat it to win. So if inflation is 2-3 and you're not making 2-3, you are losing buying power of that dollar. And the Canadian government is printing more Canadian dollars all the time. The more dollars they print, the less the value of the dollar is. Nothing that you create that is anything that you do that you make more and more and more of can't be of more value than something that's very scarce.
Yeah.
Okay. So what people have to understand first is the difference between saving and investing. Saving is having money that's going to be there. The money is not in harm's way. It is not exposed to the market in any way. When you go for that money, the money will be there. You need to have a certain amount of money in there. I recommend 6 months income. If you got 6 months, anything happens, you lose your job, something happens, your spouse loses their job, you have 6 months to figure it out before you have to start worrying, which is more than long enough for most people. I used to say 3 months before COVID, but since COVID, 6 months. For some people who can afford it, I'm saying have a year. Like a fire truck waiting for a fire, because a fire may come. Worst case scenario is you're meeting inflation. Okay? But the other money needs to go into other investments that are going to work as hard for you as you work for it. And that's where your first-time homeowner savings account comes in. Your registered retirement savings plan comes in. Your tax-free savings account comes in. All these things are predicated that you're managing or eliminating unnecessary debt. Mortgage is a necessary debt for most people. You got to live somewhere. You can rent, and that's fine, or you can buy. But I don't want people buying houses that are more than 3 times their gross income. I used to say 5, bro. But 5 is unsustainable when the interest rates do what they did. No one can, if you're making 100 grand, I say 3.5 times, that's a $350,000 property. Where are you living? Kapuskasing? Where you living? North Bay? You can't live in the GTA for $350,000. So it's a problem, right? So what do? You want to be house poor or house rich and cash poor? Or do you want to actually be able to live and thrive? And rents are no joke either. Thank God things are changing in the market and rents are coming back down because condo owners would rather have a little bit of money guaranteed steady than try to shoot for the fences and have that person flake out after 2 months, which is what has been talked about over the last year and a half, 2 years, honestly, since COVID.
I want to jump back. What are your thoughts then about the destruction of the Canadian black middle class based on the charts and actually reading that report?
People have to. The middle class is a moving target, because middle class back in the day meant you had a house, a house, a car, could go on vacation once a year. Middle class today means you have a job, and you can eat 3 meals a day. So middle class is changing.
Facts.
The definition is changing.
Facts.
So what are people doing to protect themselves from the attack on the middle class? Because if you're very rich in this country, you do very well. If you're very poor in this country, you have a number of programs. But if you're just above that minimum bar, you're on your own. And if you're on your own, what are you going to do to protect yourself? I'm seeing people now who believe that their government job, one of 3 levels of government, that their government job is going to save them. So they didn't save any money because I have my government pension. That was on the assumption they could put their head down and do 30 years of work without anybody bothering them. Well, as you can see from the class action lawsuit of the federal government, people are bothering them, not promoting them, blocking them from getting promotions and making their lives very difficult. So they have to leave and exit stage left before they hit their fully maxed out pension. So when that happens, you now come out into the wild with that experience, expecting that income with skills that may or may not be at the level of the market, but now you're in your 50s, right? 10 years before you thought you would be set, you'd be good to go. When I was traveling, everyone I met from Canada was a government worker, teacher, civil servants,
Wow.
firemen,
Wow.
cop, everybody other than Angie and I that we met. And I would look for Blue Jays hats, Raptors hats, Canucks, whatever, just to say hi to a Canadian and network. And I would say, hey, what'd you do before you started traveling? I said, we're out here for 3 months. We were both teachers in Ottawa. Hey, we're out here for 3 months. We were both civil servants, worked for the Coast Guard in Vancouver. Listen, government workers that are baby boomers are living their best life because they have hit the sweet spot for retirement. They bought their houses when they were cheap. The houses are now worth big money. They're selling the houses for big money. There's no capital gains tax on that principal residence. They're renting their places. They're downsizing, and they're living their best life, and they're transferring that money to the next generation. Well, what's the Black community doing with that wealth transfer? The baby boomers were born in 1946. They turned 65 in 2011. Average lifespan is 20 years after 65. That's 85. That's 2012, 2021, 2031. We have 6 years left for the largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind. What are we doing as a community to ensure that money transfers? One, because you got to know where it is, and people in our community don't like talking about it. They don't want, hey, what you ask me that for? You wishing me to dead. You wishing me to dead. Hey, don't ask me about will, living will, and power of attorney. Don't ask me about insurance. Don't ask me about anything. When I'm gone, you will figure it out, as I did. And this is what we're seeing. They don't seem to understand. This is not the Caribbean, where your brethren at the registrar is going to hook you up. This is Canada. And if you don't have a will, living will, and power of attorney, you don't have insurance, and you don't have named beneficiaries updated, because I got a lot of separated people who are not divorced, who think the money is going to go to their spouse that they're living with, and is going to go to their ex who they didn't divorce. People need to clean up their financial situation. And this is what I'm doing. Listen, I'm out there in those streets, Dr. Vibe, talking to people to say, are you married? I'm not married. I'm separated. Are all your beneficiaries and all your documents reflective of the fact that you have a new reality with your new person? No, I haven't gotten around to that, because everybody has the arrogance that they're going to get tomorrow. I don't have the arrogance I'm going to get this afternoon. Right? I'm living right now, and life is great. But I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this afternoon. I had one of my teammates call me, announce that his father passed away in Jamaica 2 days ago, in perfect health, until he went to the hospital for something else, had 2 heart attacks, and died on the table. Out of nowhere. No one's promised tomorrow. But everyone's acting with an arrogance, and they have time and space to make these decisions. I tell you, if you are within air, you can hear what I'm saying to you. You can hear what Dr. Vibe is saying to you. Get together with me or anybody that you respect and trust, and do a financial needs analysis. See where you are, see where you want to go, and do the same thing for your parents. I understand the assignment. It's not the message, it's the messenger. Your parents are not going to listen to their child that they change their Pampers for. They're not going to do it. So bring me in. Listen, I'm credible without facial hair, but when the facial hair comes back over the next 30 days, I'll have my beard again. And I look older. And when I look older, I can talk to the seniors and they listen to me. So bring me in to talk to your parents on your behalf. I'm sure I'm going to say pretty much the same thing you were saying, but because it's coming from an independent third party, they listen. By the way, I have people who don't look like me on my team who know what I know. And if that floats your boat, because I've noticed in some of our communities, people don't want to listen to people who look like them.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother show.
Other conversation.
I have people on my team who don't look like me, who are non-melanated, who can go out and do the right thing for your family. By the way, Mini on Cam, for the CPAP machine, there's a company now, I just saw a commercial where they are doing CPAP machines online, and the cost is reduced. So I don't know if they're part of the program you're looking for, but they're out of Vancouver, it seems. See if you can Google CPAPs in Canada, and they have very good pricing.
Okay, there's a whole mass of comments, and also I'm going to bring something to your lab I want to get your input on when it comes to having your money right. So going way back, Colin Williams says, work for MCD for 30 years as a fry. McDonald's, okay, for 30 years as fry person as a consultant and was underpaid. There you go.
100%.
Mini on Cam. Elementary school was French immersion for 4 months in Jamaica for the summer. They claimed they couldn't understand us. Oh, geez.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There you go. Ted says most Caribbean students get put back a grade when coming to Canada public school. You have to advocate strongly for your child. That is very true. Mini on Cam, it's interesting. I'm trying to bring to the disability charity organizations because lifting people with disabilities out of poverty is not happening from government or charities. No, they're not. They're not doing that. She says, I went into an emotional rant. You don't go into emotional rants, Mini on Cam. You don't do that. To March or Dies, how they need to bring investment education outside of the RDSP people with disabilities. She says, learn helpless and scarcity mindset is a bad combination. Yes, it is. When I learned people are medically retired, they did not put enough money into their retirement before they're getting their diagnosis to be disabled. Fact. Very true. Dr. Tati says, Mini on Camo, wow. Shell says, and I learned disabled people do not want to learn investing from able-bodied people. I learned a lot attending meetings in the disability community who do peer support and outreach. Dr. Tati says some people can't even afford 6 months. I know some people can't afford a week.
I agree.
Right? And she's Mini on Cam says, Dr. Tachi, I know there is more 2 million Canadians with disability and poverty who do not understand to lift themselves out of its investing. She also says, Dr. Tachi, that age range 18 to 65 and beyond. Mini on Cam, she says, Dr. Tachi says, thank you for sharing this information. Ted says, if you contribute $300 monthly for 40 years at 6%, $527,000 towards retirement. At 8%, $966,000.
Thank you.
Mini on Cam says, I learned from my own situation, then I refuse to accept it as my future. Good stuff. Energy Shock says, that's a good calculation. I haven't heard that before. Buy a house only 3 times your income is a good calculator. This should be taught in grade 12. You know what? That should be taught in grade 5. Forget grade 12.
Facts.
Grade 5. We would have less issues in our economy. Dr. Tachi says, is there even an actual middle class in North America anymore? Mini on Cam says, there is poor, working poor. I just lost something. Okay, there is poor, working poor, earning income above $100,000, and then earners above $250,000. Mini on Cam says, yes, my mother right now, traveling nurse on Native Reserves, all her photos. I don't understand that one. And next comment, and I transfer of wealth if my family set up incorrectly will mess up my disability benefits, and they will refuse to talk about it. Then I could stop breathing in my sleep anytime to get my CPAP machine. I found, and she also says many people have a sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is something a lot of people have.
I have it.
I did not realize how many people have it.
Yeah, I have a machine as well.
And don't get diagnosed. Mini on Pam, CPAP machine ODSP will only work with authorized vendors. So you commented to that. When your government help benefit is the government, you don't have limited time. Okay, then you don't have unlimited choice. He says, and she says, my choices are unauthorized vendors unless there's money available. Okay, so election season is going on in the United States, and you're hearing a lot about the party saying, blacks, get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote.
Mhm.
Statistically in the United States, if you look at the percentage of African Americans who vote compared to Chinese Americans,
Mhm.
there's a big gap.
Mhm. In which favor?
African Americans vote much, much higher
Correct.
than Chinese American. Next
Correct.
thing, do you see Chinese Americans on school boards?
No.
Do you see Chinese Americans a lot, as I said, voting?
They
Maybe
do.
not.
They do vote, but
Compared
people
to
have to
Black
understand.
Americans.
Listen, Black America has been sold the okie doke
Okay.
that political advocacy matters more than economic
This is
resilience.
where it's okay. So if you take the look of the average wealth of the Chinese American community
Mhm.
compared to the African American community, and I think it'd probably be the same here in Canada.
Sure.
So what does that tell you?
Um,
Politics ain't all get your money right.
Yeah, politics is pomp and circumstance. Can it affect you negatively? Yes, we saw Jim Crow in the United States. We saw certain laws here in Canada, and those things can affect you. But you build insulation against many of those things when you
got your money
build when you get your money right. So when you think about, I saw a post on IG about all the Black thriving communities that were flooded with dams and whatnot, as they flooded all these communities that were doing well and running highways through those cities to destabilize their economic situation because they were doing too well too soon. I think Dr. Claude Anderson said that within 10 years of the ending of slavery, 30% of Blacks were literate. It's never been done in the history of the world where anybody has become that literate that fast. So when given time and space, we win. The challenge has been in the past that when we get time and space and we win, someone will come in and destroy it. They flood it out, they burn it down, they do whatever they have to do, they change the laws, they run a highway through the middle of the city, do things to destabilize. And we saw that even in Montreal, where I was born, where they ran the highway right through what is today Little Burgundy and kill the economic engine of that community. And these are the things they do to undermine us. That was then. This is now. The culture of ignorance as it relates to financial literacy is pervasive because people have learned helplessness and decided that what was wrong with what my grandfather did, what was wrong for my father, is wrong for me. It is not true. Right? So certain parties in the United States are saying, don't worry about you doing anything for yourself. We got you. Another party is saying, everything you need is already here. Get off your butt and go do something. Those are the two sides. If you vote for one that says, I got you, you maintain the passivity. If you vote for the one that says, you have everything you need, you may lose some of the entitlements you have with the blue, but you gain independence. Right? I've been poor, $3.54. I've made north of $2.50 back in the day when I was working for these companies. I've seen the full spectrum of economic outputs. I can tell you this: $2.50 and above, life is better than $3.54 an hour. I was the same human being, but I was not the same person making $2.50 versus making $250 a week. It's a different mentality, and that's what we need to work on: is the mentality and the mindset of people from fixed, which is I can't, it is terrible, nothing I can do, out of my control, to growth, which is if it's going to be, it's up to me. This is why I have a challenge with Blue in the United States, because Blue is saying, hey, we got you. Stay as you are. We got you. Red is saying that has got you nowhere in 60 years. Come and take control. Now, we're still going to do stupid things to try to undermine you, but you at least will be in control. It's tough, and that's simplistic. The Americans who are on here can decide what they want to do, and we'll see November 5th whether they choose to be taken care of or they choose to take care of themselves. That's really what the election means to me down there. It's very simplistic. I know social justice. I understand the prison to school to prison pipeline. I understand all those things and all those policies. But trust me, in the end, it's what is each individual person and each individual family doing to change their lot in life in what is arguably the best place on the planet to make money, the United States. If people can make money with a pet rock and a chia pet, you can win in the United States. And if you're not winning, is it the United States or is it you?
All right, catching up on some comments. Mignon Camp says, if I had free choice of private health coverage, I wouldn't be talking about the limitations in the disability benefit system in Ontario. Dr. Tachi says, I think there's a psychological aspect to that. Having titles when you don't have any other power does nothing to boost esteem. In Florida, people love running for office and being principal, etc., because it's associated with having power. She said, Black people especially. So slow 3D, thanks, first time. There is no economic unity in the Black community. We have an individual mindset. Look at how the Asian communities move from the time they get here and going forward. Dr. Tachi says, but the other side is not true independence. They're saying that to make themselves feel better about the imposed systematic oppression. Hence, it's your fault that you don't have. Mignon Cam says certain government parties want to give the illusion that they will take care of you. Doug Ford, 200 rebate for 2025 coming to, and then Dr. Tad says, I don't think it's as simple as you're making it out to be, though. Let's remember, it's red that will always come to burn down things when you don't exhibit self-determination.
Yes, so I understand all that in the past, but today with social media, with the democratization of information flow, you have a choice. You have a choice, and again, I'm not American, but from all I can see is that if you vote blue, it's more of the same for the culture in the United States. If you vote red, the culture is at least on red alert, knowing no one's coming to save them, so they have to learn to save themselves. That's why the first Trump presidency, Black people started businesses. They said, listen, I know I'm not going to get hired. I know they're going to remove affirmative action. I know these are going to be doing things to act against me. So now I'm engaged in my own self-preservation. You see, they call the Chinese the model minority because all they do is wake up according to the stereotype. They wake up, they go to school, they get great marks, they come out with university degrees from the best schools, and they go into fields that are not subjective. They go into fields that are objective. Did the patient live or die? All right. Did the accounts balance or not balance? Did the building stand or fall? They go into objective careers: STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, or medicine. This is what they go into. So if you go into those things where they're objective, win or lose is clear, whether you're white, Black, or Asian, easier to make a determination of whether you're adding value or not. You go into things that are subjective: sociology, psychology, anthropology, geography, history, these sort of things. You go into things that are subjective. And if you go into those things, then people like you or don't like you, right? I think that self-determination and growth mindset are the two things that I wish for everyone who's listening to this podcast. Find the books. There's a book called Mindset, Carol Dweck. Read it. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Read it. It has little to do with money and more to do with the mindset to attract the people, the money you want in your life by adding value and knowing what that value is based on your skill set. There's a book called The Psychology of Money. Can't remember the author, but that's another book to understand your cultural relationship with money and why you think about money the way you think about it. There's a book from over 20 years ago called The Wealthy Barber for Canadians that will give you the foundation of what you need to understand. Now, if you don't go and buy these books or go to the library and borrow these books or go to YouTube and watch the video on these books, and you're still broke 12 months from this conversation, that's on you. It's not a black thing, a white thing, a racist thing. It's on you because you chose to not invest in yourself. This is the first investment you should make, is in your own perspective and knowledge. I read a book called The Gap and the Gain, Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And our community looks at the gap. This is what was taken from us. This is what was done to us. This is where we should be, and this is where we are. And we look at the gap, the gap, the gap. Don't look at the gap. What have we gained from 1965 till now? You have the right to vote. You have no more Jim Crow. You have the ability to go to predominantly white universities. You have the ability to go to HBCUs. You have the ability to go into any skilled trade you want. If there's barriers to entry in one city, you pack your bags and go to another city. That's why people left South Carolina and North Carolina and went to New York. That's why people left Louisiana and Texas and moved to California. You move to where the opportunity is. You are not chained to where you are. I live in Mississauga today, but if Mississauga decides that they don't want to give me a fair chance and I'm doing all the right things, I'm out. I left Montreal. They weren't giving me a fair chance to succeed. They said I'm too black and I'm too English and they're not going to give me a chance. Say less. 500 kilometers west. Everything I wanted to achieve, I've achieved. I just had to move. And if Toronto does the same thing and they come in with stupid things, next stop, Alberta. And if Alberta has a problem with that, next stop, wherever I need to go so I can win. But if you're unwilling to do those things to work on yourself, I think you lose the right to complain about what's going on in society because they can only control those people who want to be controlled. In my opinion, as it appears to me. And I'll end on that.
Okay, a few last comments then. Mignon Camp says, the Jewish communities have figured out how to build wealth over generations with all their adversities.
Correct.
And there's a book called, if you want to read it, called An Empire of Their Own.
Yes, I've heard of it.
This is a book that shows the history of how the Jewish people started, ran, and Hollywood. It called An Empire of Their Own. A very interesting book. A lot can be learned from that book. Suggested book reading. Next up, Dr. Tachi says, I think it's important to have a perspective and opinions, but that's like me having a perspective about Black Canada, and I'm not Black Canadian. I can have a general global perspective. Mignon Cam, people with disabilities need to pick up the self-preservation mentality. I wish many of them would, but too many of them blame outside forces. Dr. Tachi says, you're absolutely correct, Wayne, but there's also a problem with some who going into STEM, they forget that they're working with people and their fields have not developed the skills needed to do so.
Mentorship and sponsorship are key to that. And I know that there used to be over 30 HBCU medical schools, and now there's only 4 or 5. So again, the pipeline has been diminished over time and funding. But when I see Beyonce and Jay-Z making $1 billion, I see other people making $1 billion, and I see that there's a lack of doctors, and these people are going to suffer from that as well. Again, as J.R. Smith, who played for the Denver Nuggets and the Cleveland Cavaliers, said, he said, why are we playing basketball at UCLA in the summer when everybody here who's a multimillionaire could put together and build a gym in South Central LA where it could be ours, we can run it, and we can run our programs. The fact that we're not doing it is because we're thinking individually, which is a Western concept, and we're not thinking collectively, which is an Eastern concept, and which is what we had back in Africa and lost over the last number of years. Because whenever we think collectively, we win. So the key is to keep showing individual wealth, keep showing individuals. Rihanna's doing well, Jay-Z's doing well, LeBron's doing well. Let's keep focusing on the individuals and stop talking about the people who are doing collective grassroots work in the community because they're not celebrated.
No, they aren't.
And they should be.
And that's another thing about owning our own media sources too. But that's another conversation. All right. Go ahead.
One last point to Dr. Tachi's point about not being American, not having an opinion. You can have an opinion on anything. The opinion has to be informed. And what I'm saying to Dr. Tachi and all other Black Americans on November 5th, we're going to see where your head's at. After what Biden has or has not done for you in the last 4 years, after what Clinton has and has not done for you over his 8 years, after what Obama did or didn't do for you over the last 8 years. Just looking at that recency from 1990 till now. And if that body of work is enough for you to vote Democrat again, then God bless you, go ahead and do it. But you have to think about it. Under Trump, you know no one's coming to help. So it forces you to create your businesses and go do what you have to do and become more community based, because Trump is going to force you to become more insular within your community to build everybody up. So you got to build your structures in place. And again, I'm not Republican or Democrat, I'm Canadian. But what I'm saying is, at least under Trump, you know there's a looming energy that may not be serving you. So you galvanize yourselves and your community services to come together. The Democrats allow you to relax, so those things don't come together. But under Trump, you got to galvanize and come together to work together, because you know there may or may not be a threat coming at you. That's all I'm saying.
And I think we could also look at the upcoming federal Canadian election too.
Well, we're going to see what the Bloc does with that, because I can tell you that they are.
But I'm just saying that it looks like the winds of tide are going to change, and I think from what we'll see. But Canadian politics is a whole other conversation. So let's end up with these comments. Vinyan Cam says, "The Book of Science of Getting Rich." Okay. Cody says, "Don't be poor." Dr. says, "But to your point, Wayne, no one has ever been interested in our success. Thus, we do have to do it for ourselves."
Thank you, Dr. Tachi.
Mini on Cam says, "Dr. Tachi, what I try and teach people with disabilities, too many busy people waiting on the government to save them." Ted says, "100% worry about what you can control and let go of what you can't. Have a blessed and productive day, everyone." And Minyan Cam says, "It's also in the book, Thou Shalt Prosper." Okay, let me just try to read these. Man, I got okay. Slow 3D says, "When you go into STEM, careers are scalable. I develop an app and I can sell to millions. I become a nurse. I can only serve a couple people at a time." Okay. Minyan Cam says, "The disease multiple sclerosis is very white, but more people of color are getting it." Yes, but also it's interesting too in the reverse. When I was younger, the people who were called poor looked like me. A lot of them looked like me. But now the people who are poor are not only me, but a whole other people that don't look like me.
Right.
All right. Dr. Chad says, Minyan Cam, and the government will never. And also, she said, Dr. Chad, the government will give scraps and tell people with disabilities to be grateful. And then final comment, Dr. Tachi, yeah, Black America would probably disagree, Wayne. I'm in a very particular situation because I'm African, but I grew up in America. So I see what the discourse has done to Black Americans. Last comment.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, Mr. Harris.
Great. Financial First Fridays. Glad to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. man. Good to have you back. After this, I got to give Carol a call because I'm playing a 3-day fast. Like ideally, I want to do at least a 3-day cleanse every month, once a month.
This is what we were talking about. I don't know if you need a 3-day every month, probably a 2-day, but I'm telling you that this is.
Oh, I've done it. I've done them before.
It's game changing.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I have a hard stop because I got to drive, go see a client. And so,
all right, look, take care. All the best. We'll be in touch and continue great work with 100 Strong. I saw the post about the Academy doing stuff in Oshawa, Durham.
Yes.
And let's get someone on from 100 Strong one day.
Let's do it. Lennox Cador is your guy.
Oh, I remember him.
Yes, he's now controlling it.
Okay, give him a call. Well, if you can give me his contact information on the offline, I'd like to reach out to him. Take care.
That.
All
Cheers,
right,
man. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye. All right, family. Woo! That was epic. Oh my gosh. You guys were on, you family, you were on fire today. You are on fire. Amazing. I am my man. And like even early in the week, all of you hopped on when I was in Ottawa. Thank you for your support. 100%. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and Ryan. Thank you so much. Appreciate you 150%. I mean, wow, that was a great Financial First Fridays. Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? I'm telling you. Dr. Tachi says, great conversation. 100%. Thank you so much. All right, let's shut it down. Okay. So let's go to roll call. Ba, 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 ba. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, please. And hey, share it out with everybody. Please tell other people about it. And if you're up to it, if you haven't, please subscribe on the YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please email Dr. Vibe, me, at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com to advertise your business, product, or service. Please email me again, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Shirley, I got your email. I'm going to respond or call you today. And I don't know if I was able to say hi to you in the comments. So if I didn't, it was my head, not my heart. But there was so much good stuff going on today. What else? So coming up on Monday on the Morning Vibe, Nigel Gordyke will be talking about his article on buyblacks.com. How can I be a black man if I don't look like one? Going to be good. And then coming up this Tuesday, U.S. presidential watch party live, wherever you're watching this, live. So you'll have Aisha K. Staggers, Laura Lala Key, and Dr. Tachi, Black Queens from America. And you'll have Cesar Nadima Musa and Ryan Knight, who you saw earlier on if you were here, Black Canadian Kings. And we're going to give our live takes on a very important event in history. So before we jump off here, how many people, if you're here still, who you think's going to win? Who you think's going to win? And Mignon Can says, we kicked off November strong. Absolutely. You're part of a strong November. If you're still on, who do you think is going to win? Ms. Harris or 45? I'll just stay on for a few, like 1 minute. Type in the chat who you think's going to win. Dr. Tachi says Harris. Anyone else have any predictions? Also want to shout out Judah Dawkins Mega and also the McMillan Group for liking the conversation. Appreciated, not taken for granted. All right, no one else is typing in. I believe that 45 is going to be president again. So he'll be the 47th president of the United States. But come on primetime Saturday tomorrow night, Aisha and Lala are going to be talking about it. Dr. Tachi, if you want to join us, you know we're always here for you. You always have a seat at the primetime table, primetime Saturdays table. And then Tuesday night, again, we're going to live watch party for the election. So last things last, as you see along the bottom, you can watch replays of this conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and Ryan O'Neill Knight on YouTube. Woo! I need a break. And I'm still tired from Ottawa because there was so much stuff. Well, I'll talk about it, but was it 2 days ago? I went to an incredible morning of information talking about emotional intelligence and AI, and then a deep dive by a gentleman who's very well renowned in AI for about an hour and a half. Wow, there's so much information I need to share with you. But I'm going to go take a break. So this is how we finish off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And looking forward to seeing you on more conversations. Take care.